is a very exalted and a happy position to be in. But reflecting to other sports, you know, there's a lot of people, there's two positions on it. One, the team has the right to do what they want to do, but there are other people, and a lot of people who have paid money, and good money, to come here to see a real race right to the very end, and perhaps they may feel somewhat robbed or not being given the real opportunity of seeing a ding-dong battle, because it all was, if you like, getting ready for an unbelievable last 5 laps, and sadly the people didn't see that.
Sure, I'll agree with every word of that. I remember seeing you at your launch, Eddie, and you adopted a very sort of low-key approach to the season. I mean, after the first race here, how would you gauge your optimism, particularly about that first Jordan victory?
Well, I purposely rightly didn't say anything about first Jordan victory. I'd rather let that happen as quickly as it can happen without putting either myself or the team under pressure. But, you know, clearly there is a fair lot of work to do. However, you know, where McLaren have had a bit of an advantage, and that is great continuity with engine sponsors and drivers. We've just acquired Damon, and I think I was very happy with what he did today. A new engine with Mugen Honda. So I'm not disappointed. I'm very pleased that we could have finished like we did finish, because at least we have a foundation now and the platform from where to work from. That equally was important. But, you know, when you see the people who finished 4th and we finished 8th, there was perhaps about 5 seconds in it. So maybe that's giving us some light relief, if you like, but not enough.
Cheers, Eddie. You've brightened up our coverage. I know there's a Jordan party going on in London this morning, British time. You might just like to say a final few words to all the Jordan fans gathered there.
We did speak to them. I think it was 5 a.m. I don't know how sore the head is going to be in the morning, and sadly we haven't given them any extra joy in the result here, but we are thinking about all the people at home.
Terrific, Ed. We appreciate you joining us so soon. Thank you very much indeed.
To talk to you.
Okay, now then, Martin. The incident, really, I think, is going to be talked about more than the McLaren domination here. I mean, you've had a little time to think about it. I know you have an involvement with David Coulthard, but just watching him get out of that car, he didn't actually look as though he was getting out of that car with a spring in his step. You know, a guy who was going to be on the podium, and he'd got 2nd place in Australia. He looked very, very upset.
Well, he's a guy that needs to win, as they all do, and David in particular wants the race to win. And it's rather high on his priority list. But watching the body language of them in the press conference, they're both smiling quite a lot. It's Frentzen who's looking rather glum at the end, actually. So, you know, we don't know what went on over the radars. A lot of discussion goes on through the race. The strategy obviously had to change, given that Mika had this sort of imaginary trip into the pits. So quite what was said on the radar, we don't know, and hopefully we can hear a bit about that later on to understand exactly why David, here we see him just lifting off. You can hear the throttles are back, and Häkkinen, I thought then David must have a problem, to be honest. I even found myself looking at the laps to go, because I thought, hello, I've misread this, the race is over. That's how much David slowed down. There you can see it again. And David is clearly making a very bold statement there by slowing down so much right over the start-finish line.
Tony, Jardine, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, deep down, you know, you've been in racing all your life. You're part of that McLaren team. I mean, do you think it's good for racing, things like that?
No, I don't. I mean, we have to be careful what we say, because as Martin said, we don't know what's gone on, and you know, as Eddie has said, it's up to the team. If they want to say, you finish in this order, it is up to them, but they're depriving millions of people of seeing 2 races really going for it. I'm disappointed as I was in Jerez, and I'm going to read this, because Ron Dennis's quote was, then, no team instructions to a driver whilst he can still mathematically win the World Championship.
Right. Well, we can actually hear what Ron Dennis has to say. Ron Dennis, the team boss, of course, at McLaren, and he's been talking to James Allen.
Ron, a very quick word. Very many congratulations. You've lapped the field today.
Yeah, it was an interesting race. I'm sure it's a little confusing to everybody, but in reality, the drivers decided whoever entered the first corner would win the race, especially if they're in a dominant position. They were in a dominant position. Small.
Describe your feelings for me, Ron, as your cars come past now.
I'm pretty happy.
David looks a bit disappointed, I must say.
It's David's decision. They worked as teammates, and it was his decision. And I mean, all credit to him. It's a completely different situation to Jerez. They decided how to pace the race, and they decided to make sure that that's the way it worked out. It's just a couple of teammates working together.
If you carry on like this, it's going to be quite a season for you, isn't it?
Well, you can't underestimate the performance of Williams or Ferrari, and it's early days yet, but it's a good way to start.
Well done, Ron.
Thank you.
It is early days. It's a great way to start. Traditionally, the winner of this race here actually tends to win the World Championship. We'll go to the press conference in just a moment, but I really would like, Martin, your views on that. I mean, Ron's saying they're quite categorically that the two drivers sorted it out themselves. Whoever was ahead at the first corner, they said, you can win the race.
Well, if that's the deal that they made...
Comment, as they say on exam papers.
If David made the conscious decision of lifting off, it would have pained him enormously, I know. But, you know, if that's the deal they made, then David would stick to it, I'm sure, as would Mika. But it seems strange that if Mika made the mistake down the pit lane, then clearly David's let him off the hook.
Yeah, OK. I think we can have a word with the drivers, actually. They've been talking in the press conference, and the two, of course, we really want to hear for, David Coulthard, and first of all, Mika Häkkinen.
You caught up with David fantastically, and then right at the end there, it looked like David let you by. What was that all about?
Well, I just wanted to say for David, thank you very much. It's very fair, I would say, racing and excellent teamwork. I'm not saying this because it's easy for me to say because I won. I said it because we have quite a special relationship with David, and racing situation like this, what David did was just remarkable. And looking back in the history, I don't have seen many drivers doing things like this, so I have to thank you very much.
Now, you and David, between the two of you, almost lapped the whole field. How come McLaren is just so much better than the other cars at the moment?
Well, it's probably, maybe we can both answer the question, but it's one very simple reason probably. And the reason for that is we have people, we have a package, we have sponsors, which are extremely good. And we all work together in all the areas. And that is the result. And only with that you are able to do things like this, and including, of course, excellent drivers like me and David.
David, how was it for you? Because, I mean, you were leading the race there towards the end. I mean, we were all surprised to see you let Mika by. Had you talked about this in detail beforehand?
Yeah, we had. I have to say that, you know, Mika and I have, learnt a lot during the winter, got a lot closer, worked a lot closer together after the Jerez situation. And we had an agreement that whoever was to get to the first corner first, providing the race was to run normally, has, in this situation where you have to be very careful with reliability, and there was a lot of question marks over brakes and other issues on this type of track, that we wouldn't challenge that person, because that was the main part of the race. I was pretty confident with that agreement that I would beat Mika to the first corner, but unfortunately today he made a good start. And when it was clear, when the team explained to me what had happened with his pit stop, I had some time to think about it, and I felt that was in keeping with our agreement. So.
Well, there we are. The drivers, Häkkinen and Coulthard, would appear to have sorted things out for themselves. There's still a lot more to analyse from the Australian Grand Prix, and we'll be right back.